The TV series Mr. Robot is one of my all-time favorite shows. In fact, if you pay really close attention to my backdrop, you'll see I've got all 4 seasons of it there on DVD and Blu-ray. And when I heard that the series creator Sam Esmail was directing a new apocalyptic type thriller for Netflix, I was very excited. And so today I want to give you my thoughts and review for Leave the World Behind. But first, like always, welcome back to The Haunted Beard, everybody. My name is Jake. Thank you once again for joining me. It's all horror and thriller movie content on my channel, so listen, do not click that subscribe button unless you want to be haunted by the beard. A family's getaway to a luxurious rental home takes an ominous turn when a cyberattack knocks out their devices and 2 strangers appear at their door. One of the highlights of Leave the World Behind for me was just really the overall atmosphere. It has this very sort of mysterious and paranoid atmosphere that I really enjoyed. One of my favorite things that mysterious films and thriller films often do they will present to you a strange type of character where you're not exactly sure if they're telling the truth or where their motivations lie. And it leaves a lot of questions regarding who they are and what their background is. And we get quite a bit of that here in Leave the World Behind, as the 2 strangers who show up, played by Mahershala Ali and Myha'la Holland, claim that the house that Julia Roberts and Ethan Hawke are staying at is in fact their house. The Airbnb they are renting is their house. And they ask them to let them inside, and they do. And so what unfolds is this very sort of mysterious, paranoid, atmospheric type thing to where you're not exactly sure who they are, if they're telling the truth, and just what their motivations are. And I really enjoyed that aspect of the film. Like I said, I'm a huge fan of the show Mr. Robot, and if you are also a fan, you're definitely going to notice some similarities between that show and Leave the World Behind, as there is definitely some similarities in the visual presentation of it with what Sam Esmail does in terms of his shot selection, how he frames and composes shots, as he just does some interesting things with upside down shots and quick zooms and pans and just sort of interesting, unique kind of camera movements and stuff like that that definitely are reminiscent of Mr. Robot. I also think the film does a good job balancing really kind of the big budget, kind of epic moments, the disaster sequences, while also having some of the small character-driven moments as well. And so there's this good balance. I like that you do get just some really crazy scenes, but then I also like that you get some scenes that really focus on the characters. And I think overall, the presentation and how the events unfold, to me, it felt like a pretty realistic and grounded sort of approach. And as a viewer, what's interesting is kind of asking yourself, well, what would I do in this situation? How would I act? How would I respond? And given the cast of characters, I'm sure there's probably certain aspects of different characters that you can understand or relate to, or maybe find similarities between how you think you would respond and they are responding. Ethan Hawke says at one point in the film that media is an escape and it's also a reflection. And I think that really speaks to kind of the bigger, broader themes of the movie and how we use media in real life. And I think in some ways, Leave the World Behind is trying to be that reflective sort of mirror on how people and society would respond in this apocalyptic type situation, as I found just the overall presentation of it to be a pretty interesting insight into human nature and what we would actually do in this type of situation. And it's just kind of interesting to think about those things. When the 2 strangers show up at the house, Julia Roberts' character is very skeptical, very untrusting, whereas Ethan Hawke is a little more open, a little more welcoming and inviting and trusting. And so I just kind of like that dynamic between their characters, and you can just kind of see the different aspects of these characters and how they act and respond to things, kind of being a little bit of that reflective light, and they're kind of making bigger statements. There's definitely kind of some social, cultural commentary peppered throughout the movie that kind of speak to some of those things. And I found most of that commentary pretty interesting. It also gets into different things like prejudices and how we treat the world and things like that, which I think that there are interesting things to say about it. And, you know, if something like this sort of situation happened, I think the way the people respond in this movie is pretty accurate to how humanity at large would respond. if the internet ever went down across the country, people would start freaking out very quickly. I also really liked the character of the daughter, as she really uses media as an escape, to escape the craziness of the world around her. And I can just say personally, I can relate to that, and I understand that, as I have gone to movies to seek comfort and escape in my own personal life. And so there is just that kind of level of personal connection there that I thought was really cool. I think the performances are really solid. I think Esmail does a good job directing this and handling the source material, as this is based off of a book. He really executes that mysterious and paranoid vibe quite well. There's a particular sequence where he is cutting back and forth between 3 different characters, kind of in 3 different locations, that I thought just the suspense and the tension of that was really ramped up, was a really well executed series of sequences all put together. Really enjoyed that, was one of the highlights for me as well. And I thought the ending was also pretty good, and I quite enjoyed it. I obviously won't get into any spoilers, but I really dug the ending, and I think it also leaves just some more kind of thought-provoking stuff. And yeah, so I had a really good time with Leave the World Behind. I would definitely recommend it if you haven't watched it yet and it sounds interesting to you, or if you're a fan of the series Mr. Robot. So definitely give it a watch. I think for me, I'm gonna go 8 out of 10 for Leave the World Behind. I think yeah, it's a pretty solid one, and I got quite a bit out of it. And so yeah, it's a strong recommend for me. So those are my thoughts. Hit me up down below. Like always, would love to know your thoughts. Let me know what you guys thought of Leave the World Behind. And yeah, that's all I got for you. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time on The Haunted Beard.